In celebration of their 10th year anniversary of Twisted Tower Dyer's debut, Heaven and Hell Records is reissuing limited collector editions of the band's first 2 albums, The Curse of Twisted Tower and The Isle of Hydra. The original release of these 2 CDs have become legendary and are sure to forever be held as classics among the true heavy metal underground. Hydra showcased stronger songwriting and tighter sound in general. Was this a natural progression, or was it a conscious decision to up the ante?
Well, I mean, of course it's a conscious decision. You always want to write better songs than you wrote before. I think that Hydra, the song structure really started to work better on Hydra because when we wrote Curse, it was all instrumental stuff, and we had Tony come in and just write lyrics over it. We'd had pretty much 3 or 4 singers come in and write lyrics over those songs before.
We're spending a lot more time with our singer. We had regular band practice all the time, all 5 of us together. We practiced in this old meat locking processing plant. And we got together 2 times a week, I believe, and it was really we were like a little gang at the time.
Yeah, Hydra was definitely, recorded better. We had a little more money. We went to a more competent studio. The studio that did Curse was, they knew what they were doing, but they were kind of learning too. And the guy that worked on Hydra had a little more experience, had a better idea what he was doing, and really taught us how to record as a band.
On Hydra, we actually wrote all the songs with Tony in the band, so the singer was actually part of the songwriting process. And when you're writing with a singer, you don't just string a whole bunch of riffs together. You actually start writing cohesive stuff so that you don't, how can I put it? You don't have to change riffs every 30 seconds. You can play, you can sit there and chunk on the E string while the singer sings above that, and it's not boring and repetitive.
All of us worked together to put those songs together. Whereas opposed to the first album, we were just stringing riffs together and just 3 guys in the basement drinking beer, fucking off. And Hydra was definitely a group effort.
That was the neatest experience for me, was just learning how to play my guitar a certain way and knowing when I can get the best, when I play the best take that I can get. And he had a lot of tricks up the sleeve that worked well and resulted in a pretty clean sounding album. So we're definitely indebted to Kevin for doing that. He did a great job.
Was there a shift in the band's influences, or was there a desire to depart from the labyrinth-like song arrangements of Curse?
Kind of covered by the last question in a way. You're writing for the singer, and so you let the singer carry the song. You let the vocals carry the melodic progression of a piece. You don't have to have it go in 12 million different directions to maintain interest in the song. You can maintain interest in the song using the vocal lines.
Yeah, I think that, I think Curse is a great album, and I love all the music on that, but I think we tried to kind of streamline the writing process a little bit. We grew as a band, learned to write better, write material that works more with vocals, and maybe subconsciously trying to write stuff that people could identify a little better with too.
Not a shift in influences so much as wanted to explore our songwriting abilities and really work. It was really the first time we worked with the singer closely, and that was really our first run at really trying to craft an actual song as opposed to stringing riffs together death metal style.
We were into a lot of, or the band, I didn't write a lot of the stuff, but the band was into, a lot of different like death metal and, stuff like that. And I think that contributed to a lot of the arrangements on the first album. And I don't know, I guess we kind of found our sound between the first and the second album and kind of had an idea what we wanted to sound like in the future, and kind of started to hone in on that sound. And that's, I think that's why the second album sounds, the way it does, and more mature and just kind of, I don't know, the songs make more sense, I guess.
Hydra's production was a dramatic improvement over Curse. How did you as a band manage to sonically clean yourself so drastically?
We didn't. Kevin from Assembly Line Studios did that. Thank you, Kevin, for watching that. Great guy, great studio. Totally cleaned us up.
Well, the first album we did pretty much on our own in the studio. We went to a different studio. We went to Assembly Line Studios, and we worked with a guy named Kevin 131 on Hydra. And Kevin is just an amazing guy. I mean, he's worked with some really big pop stars and everything else. And he just has a really good grip on what we were doing and really got what we were trying to do.
Kevin did a great job with recording that. And as I said, we kind of learned how to record as a band, which I think is a very important thing. People think you just go into the studio and play and, you know, you're all playing at the same time or, you know, whatever. People have strange ideas of how a studio works.
I think most bands don't have the natural ability to clean themselves up. You really need that sixth member, so to speak, to come in and point you in the right direction and polish you up.
Kevin definitely was very good at knowing when we did the best take we could, when it wasn't going to get any better, and he kind of helped push us into doing the best takes that we could too. And on top of that, he knew what he's doing with his equipment, and you know, he had experience and just did a great job pulling everything together and making it sound as good as it possibly could.
The guys we worked with on Curse, they got it and they wanted to work with it too. They just didn't have the skills that Kevin did. And when you work with someone who just knows their way around the studio that much better, you come out with that much more of a superior product.
I think he definitely did justice to that album, and you know, we should have probably paid him a lot more.
In 2001, Hydra made a comfortable niche for itself in the metal underground. But in 2009, the climate of metal has changed dramatically since TTD began. How do you see yourselves fitting in, or do you simply feel alienated?
I don't think we've ever really fit in.
I wouldn't say we feel alienated. I mean, we were just as out of the mainstream metal community or whatever when we started doing this, because when we started doing this, everything was death and black metal.
Well, when the band first came out, we were kind of one of the only bands around that I knew of anyway that was doing anything, you know, kind of like retro, old school metal. We called ourselves like classic or epic metal when we first came out.
When we started TTD, it was the 90s. There was techno, there was alternative and metal, there was death metal and black metal. That's all that was really going on. There was a pretty good doom scene in the Washington, D.C. area, which we kind of came out of. But I don't think we've ever fit in anywhere.
Since then, metal, you know, that traditional metal thing really did kind of come back, and I wouldn't say it's done its thing, but I mean, back then it did seem like we were one of the only bands that were doing it, and now I can't even list the number of bands that sound like Judas Priest.
You know, we never want to be commercially successful or anything, so, and we don't really care what the scene's doing or who likes us and who doesn't, and you know how we should dress or anything silly like that.
We just do our own thing. We like what we do, and that's what we do.
You know, the band's always been about just writing good material, and you know, we get along well together. We're really good friends, and we just try to do the best we can. And you know, if people take notice, they do, and it's been good enough to do for 10 years. So
we write stuff that we would want to hear. I mean, I don't see any other way that you can write music is other than writing stuff that you're going to enjoy, and you hope that that resonates with someone else, because honestly, if you're not writing stuff that you like, you're wasting your time.